Coach.
Morning.
Turn of the week means Mid-American Conference plays upon us. Thoughts on what was the trip to Jacksonville and now turning your attention to the run towards the MAC championship?
Really disappointing, frustrating, tough day. Down in Alabama, a good Jacksonville team for sure, and feel as though we played really well defensively. We knew that it might be a little bit of a slower start, just getting used to the tempo and all that they were going to throw at us. But settled down and really played well defensively. And then special teams, we felt really became a punt block / punt return game. There wasn't much in terms of kickoff return, touchbacks, and all of that. But our punting was outstanding. And then offensively, just a really frustrating day. We need to be able to run the ball and throw the ball to be effective in the way that we want to be effective. Our passing game just has not gotten there yet. Completed, and everybody's a part of that, but completed less than 50%. We were sacked 6 times and, threw 3 interceptions. And so it's something that, has our full attention and need to get better at, so we can win these games. But in terms of the MAC, it's a new season. We have finished the regular season with Central Michigan the last couple at least, I don't know, a few years, and now we're starting up, be at their place, and they're good. They just came off of a huge comeback victory down at South Alabama, we've had some intense battles with them through the years, and this will be that for sure.
Dave, would you like to lead us off?
Yeah, Coach, what do you think of that Central Michigan team? Because they've been able to pull out a couple of victories late in games, and obviously the team that they beat had a win, I believe, against Oklahoma State, so they're pretty darn good.
Oh yeah, no, South Alabama's really good. That was a really big win. If you remember, they hosted South Alabama early last year and lost to them, and I hadn't gone back and watched that game this year, but I think South Alabama got on them, pretty good. And South Alabama is playing really good football. They just beat Oklahoma State, so to go down there, and I think they were down 14 maybe early, and came back and won. So it's super impressive.
Anything else, Dave?
Just want to know how do you get your offense going in a game like this? And Austin, talk about your quarterback, because he has struggled at times this year.
Yeah, no, it's again, I think that our sweet spot is to be able to run the football and throw it, get into our RPOs and our play action and spread people out, and then play with 12 personnel and hit people a lot of different ways, and you'd be multi-formational, and we just haven't got into a rhythm. And so practice is going to be super important this week. I mean, we've got to in some ways go back to some basics and fundamentals and get our timing and our reads and our protection and our routes and all of those things. It's a little bit of a lot of things, more so than it is, one glaring issue for us in our pass game. But we feel as though if we get that going, and, Austin's done it before, got to see Ike some last week too, and we think he's a good player. But we got to just, in some ways, you just got to you got to stay the course and keep getting better at what you do. And then some things, you've got to manipulate, you got to nuance, you got to make some adjustments. And so, that's what we're doing, did last night and today in terms of the week of practice and the game plan. What things do you just stay with and keep getting better at, what things do you, adapt, change, and manipulate some.
Is it something on the line too, offensive line, where you might need to make a change, or you feel the offensive line is doing a good enough job?
Oh yeah, no, not in terms of changes. We've got, when we think about the offensive line, you think about above the line guys. That means guys, you feel comfortable with going into a game and playing. And this year we've have as many guys above the line as I've had in my time here. And so we do have depth on the offensive line, but it's not a situation where we're at most positions anyway, subbing guys in for series or anything like that.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Yep.
Coach, do you plan on using all three quarterbacks again this week? I know, right now you haven't finished your game planning for Michigan yet, but
No, it's a good question.
You still plan on using?
Yeah, no, we're open to that. We really got to see how this week, of practice goes. And again, we are putting together the game plan right now, and those guys have, can emphasize different strengths and whatnot. The non-conference season is over. We're into MAC play now, we didn't get a full sample of Ike, right? It was part of one game, and so practice this week is going to be really, really important.
You had mentioned going into more 12 personnel earlier. A couple of new tight ends, Blake Daniels and actually they were on the roster last year, but they're now on the field this year. What have you kind of seen out of them? Daniels has been doing good as a receiver. Reese almost had that tight end at Howard. What have they been like on the field and helping out this offense so far?
Yeah, the two great additions. Blake has worked his tail off to put on weight and strength and has really made himself, into a tight end and is just going to continue to get better and better and better. He's a real threat down the field in the passing game. He's just so long, and now at 245 pounds, he's able to be a tight end, and not just a big, long receiver. And so really excited about him and his development and who he is. He's a great human being and has leadership qualities for sure. Max, when we recruited him, we said, hey, look, you're going to be a phenomenal H, because he's in that 235 range, can really run, and is strong and powerful, very comfortable on the outside and running routes. He's a big target, physical, really smooth, and it just makes him so dangerous when he can be, off the ball or attached on the line of scrimmage, and so you don't have to take him out of the game. And so those guys, are different than an Andreas and a Jerry, and so we've got some real diversity within our Y and H group right there.
Two guys I missed last week. I'm just kind of wondering about their timelines and seeing when they're going to return. Tanner Canoe and Josh Scott. Scott's obviously missed a lot more time than Canoe has, but wondering when they're going to see the field again.
Yeah, we know that Josh is not going to be back. Tanner, we're going to have to wait and see, it's as we go through the week, try to get him in there to practice, when he's able to go. And, we're hoping that he'll be ready to go this weekend, but I can't tell you that for sure now.
And my last, just looking forward to Central, they've had a couple, pretty big wins. Talked about the South Alabama win, even the New Hampshire, or was that?
Yeah.
That was a pretty big win for them too.
Huge.
Their quarterback play though isn't all that spectacular this year either. Do you see that as kind of like an evener matchup this year because of that, or?
Yeah, no, I don't know that I would agree with you in terms of their quarterback play. I think they have two, phenomenal athletes. And I think, I could be wrong, but by design, I think philosophically, offensively, they want both of those guys to be able to do both. And finding guys that can do both is a little bit more difficult than people think. Just because somebody's athletic or they're fast or they can run doesn't make them, right, effective or a good ball carrier. And then ultimately in this game, right, and maybe not in an individual game, but over the course of the season, you've got to have, in my opinion, you've got to have a quarterback, that can make the throws, to win games. So whether it's just third downs or, to be able to take shots. And both of those guys have proven that they can do both. And again, I think philosophically, they, like a lot of teams, it's like, let's run the ball first. And they are both excellent at running the football, and both can throw it. If you watch last week's game, they played both. Number 8 came in somewhere around maybe the third or fourth series and ended up finishing the game. I think 3 had been ill versus Notre Dame, and very effective passers. But the dual threat, they are certainly that. Yep.
So, Coach, you guys have struggled a little bit on the defensive side of containing the run. I think you guys average 229 yards around there giving up through the run game. Talk to me about cracking down on that aspect of the defensive side of the ball, especially heading into Central Michigan and, like you just said, the dual threat aspect of the quarterbacks and them being able to run that ball with success.
Yeah. What I would tell you in terms of our run defense, we have really put an emphasis, on our tackling. We feel as though when we look at the course of these first few games that often we are there to make the tackle, but haven't always got guys down to the ground. And this game is, based on blocking and tackling. We can tackle well. We've tackled well at times, but I think that's something that we, definitely need to shore up. We have faced some pretty good run offenses and faced some dual threat quarterbacks and multiple quarterbacks, that we've been getting ready for. So we've certainly been tested. I think overall I'm really pleased. Even when we've bent some, we gave up the explosive with the quarterback. But there's been a number of times now in these first few games where the low red zone and goal line and whatnot, where we've kept guys out, which has been huge. And the fight in our defense, to the very end, whether it's the length of the field or to the end of the game, has been fantastic.
And then talk to me a little bit about true freshman Daquan White. I read he's third in the MAC right now with pass breakups. Talk to me kind of about his talent and his hard work, what you see from him, because it's tough being a true freshman and kind of succeeding on this level. So talk to me kind of just about his talent.
Yeah, people are coming after him. It's one of the reasons why he's towards the top there. He's a good player. We knew that when we recruited him. And the thing about recruiting freshmen, and I try to say this to guys all the time, is that the talent obviously has to be there. And every year there are, every one of them is super talented when they come in. And I think the piece that gets overlooked or isn't talked about enough is no matter how talented you are, how quickly, can you learn, right? How quickly can you get to the place where you're playing with 22 and 23-year-olds who've given, 3, 4, 5 years, right, of their lives to like putting everything that they have, into this, and it means so much, and there's so much work has gone into it. And so, do you have, the maturity? Do you have the emotional intelligence? Do you have the football IQ, the coachability? All of those things are necessary, to play. And I'm telling you, Daquan, even when in camp, it was just like, wow, is he really doing this? And it's like, yeah. And he was just even keeled all the way through. first games in the stretch. Now, he's just, he played a high level of high school football, down in Georgia, and I think that helped him for sure. And he just has a great mindset and maturity about him to go along with his skill set.
Mitchell Tomasek, Player of the Week again. Could you talk about what he's doing for this team as far as putting you guys in chances to succeed by flipping the field the way he has?
Oh, man. Just phenomenal. And, everybody, you look at the yardage and, his hang time. People don't look at that, but which is, fantastic too. But he has, like you said, flipped fields, like including the 72-yarder, and one that went a little bit farther than that, but got a roughing for us, got the first down. He's rugbyed really, really well, okay, both in pooch and non-pooch situations, and then he's pooch punted extremely well. So you're not talking about just a guy who can, bang that thing a really long and high, but he's got touch on the ball and control, and so he is off to a crazy good start, and it matters. We believe that your punt team, it's the single most important play in football, and so you got to have a guy leading that unit who's really good at what he does. And you get to hear from Bird. I don't think he's had a single punt that didn't start with Bird. And Bird just puts it on the money and on time and is so reliable. And then I would say, along with those guys, we've got captains, we've got seniors, we have guys who, would refuse to not be on the punt team because they know how important it is and take it very seriously. So we feel as though, just the culture of our special teams, how much time we put into it, it all works together. But Mitch is, he's really, really good.
You mentioned Steve Bird, and since he's in the room, it's a guy that only gets mentioned usually that position when they do something wrong. Now, we try and mention it because he's so on target, but I don't recall him ever having a bad snap. Are you a little taken aback by how accurate a snapper he is?
Well, once, when he's done playing and we're talking about his career, we'll talk about that part. But I would say, maybe more so than any other snapper that I've ever, been a part of, Bird does get talked about because he's such a leader in our program, and I don't know, maybe a cult figure leader to some degree too, and I mean that in a real positive way. So I know what you're saying.
Right.
Most of the time it's like, oh man, that was a bad snap, but you don't notice anything other than that. But Bird is such a huge part of our program and everything that we do, that it's not one of those guys that you don't know his name and then all of a sudden he's screwed up. He's really, really good at what he does.
Last question for me, why is it so hard to win up in Mount Pleasant? This university hasn't won up there since 2011. What makes it so tough to go up there and beat Central at Central?
Well, I can just tell you this, that, they're well coached. They've recruited well. They play super hard. And I don't have all those reasons. I haven't been here that long, but I know that, when we beat them, it's been down here. And, we're excited for the challenge, but it's just it's a hard-nosed, tough, well-coached football team. And obviously have a lot of pride, and through history, has been, one of the better teams, in this league. So it's going to be a battle.
Anything else for Coach? Steve, your turn.
All right, Bird song.
Mitch, all you.
All right, Steve, as Coach Kahn just alluded to, great day for special teams on Saturday. You're obviously a massive part in that. You guys just speak a little bit about your part in that.
Again, special teams, there's 3 phases of the game. Creighton says it every meeting. You got offense, defense, special teams, and you can't do anything without all 3 of them working. Offense scores the points, defense stops them from doing that, and the special teams, like the part that I really enjoy, would be the fact that you are supposed to put the offense or the defense in the best position possible. That means on the field, off the field, however you can do that. So, I mean, being a part of that and us doing our job, we can't do it without all the 11 guys on the field. Like, it's the full punt team, it's the full punt block team, full KOR team, kickoff team, field goal unit. It's all of us. We can't. It's not just 2 guys or a guy out there. It's all of us. So, it's really, really good.
Tom?
Kicking's a lot of mentality and mechanics. How much of your job is snapping the ball, and how much of your job is conversations with guys like Thomas Sept and Gomez on the sidelines and talking to them through the course of the game about what you guys need to do on the field?
So a specialist job, like you said, it's very mental. So most of the time, you have to think of it like a sniper mindset is what I've always learned. 1 rep, miss, make, whatever it is, move on. It's already done. It's already left your foot. It's already left your hands. There's nothing you can do about it. So majority of it is really talking and being, hey, make sure you're smooth, stay clean. You've done this a million times. Don't worry about it. Or like one of the things you always got to talk and tell, like I've told Mitch and I've told Jesus before, you're a good football player. You're meant to be here. You're a Division I player. You got this. Just relax and do your thing. And a lot of it is once you get to that point, you have to just be able to not think, completely release everything and just trust your training. And again, mental, yes, very mental. But once you get to that point to where you don't think, it's insane.
Is the hardest part of this season been watching your brother and being stressed over him being the long snapper at Cal?
There have been times. It's tough right now because most of the games we're playing at like the same times or just slightly offset. So I'm trying to watch the game on the plane or on the ride back. But it is stressful. I can't believe I put my parents through that for 4 years. I am scared for them now because they have to endure more. But it's quite an experience to watch his games and then to think that in a couple years I'll be able to actually watch him play. It's awesome. I can't really find words to explain it. I still text him. Like I'll watch the snap and be like, hey, nice job. And then just, it's just amazing.
You're in the locker room. What's the temperature of this team? Non-conference play is over. You guys are coming off a rough one down south where you didn't get any points on the board. You guys are 2-2, but now the slate really is clean. Everything you guys want to accomplish, talking about the standard, talking about winning the MAC, getting yourselves to Detroit. It's all in front of you guys, but obviously there's some stuff that's got to start clicking. What's the mood of this team headed into this rivalry game?
2 things that I would know. 1, it's MAC play, and MAC play is every year it's a toss-up, and that means everything's up for grabs. So with that being said, like we know that we got to go out there and we got to do our thing. It's never been a team who just completely steamrolls people every year, and we know that whoever's going to win the game is who's ready to go that day, and we just know that we have to be ready to go. And the other thing is, I said first it was the MAC play, and second, we know we have to do our jobs. Like we just got to be ready to go. You can't think. You just got to go. We're fighting for a trophy. This is a trophy game, a semi-trophy game, but we know that we have to execute and do our jobs.
Steve, you've been on the team for a long time, but what's
Yeah.
but what's like the best kind of advice that you give to like newcomers, especially like in the special teams room that are coming in trying to, not just like make the team, but for a lot of them like make scholarships too?
I would say there's like 2 big things. 1, learn your role and accept it and do as much as you can with that, and learn as much as you can from the guy in front of you. Like pick their brain, be around them, be a shadow. Learn as much as you can because you never know what you're going to pick up. And as for learning and accepting your role, like the quicker you do that, the more you can help contribute to the team, the better you can be when your time comes. Be ready and make sure that when your name is called and when you're called to do your job, you do it. Like that. Those would be the things that I would say if I was like talking to a newcomer. my 18-year-old self a bunch of time ago, as you said.
I know we're here to talk about football, but the more important thing, Halloween plans. What do you anything going to do for your costume?
Yes, I do, actually. I actually got that coming up. I'm working with Luke Cameron on getting this thing together. So I'm trying to think. We did this whole WWE wrestling thing, so it'll have some wrestling ties in, but it's not going to be wrestling like TV wrestling. It's going to be a fictional character. I'll leave it as a mystery for now, but
Well, I need to see pictures and video whenever that becomes available.
don't worry, sweetheart, it'll come out. Don't worry, I got you.
My last question, just because you are the Halloween costume authority here, one that I thought of last night that I think would be great for me. I want to get your opinions on it. If I wear a blonde wig, Travis Kelce jersey, I'm Taylor Swift. What do you think?
That's all. It's perfect. All you need to do, make sure you're carrying around a little like the speaker or something, play some Taylor Swift music, and then just be running around saying, "I love Travis Kelce." You'll be just fine.
Thank you.
Blake?
So to me, the long snapper is like the most interesting position in football, and you've been able to do it very well.
Thanks.
I want to know, like, what's the whole preparation to get that perfect snap, to get the ball there, because that's the most vital part of, getting it through the field goal, punting it away for Mitchell and Jesus. What's like that whole formation like, preparation, and do you know like it's a perfect ball when it leaves your hands?
Yeah. So I think that there comes a time when you're doing your job so much that you'll be able to feel it. And I am a firm believer on, okay, how'd you feel about that? Like if you feel that really good and it was a good ball, then chase that feeling and you'll be just fine. Everything else will come through. As for getting to that point, hours and hours, repetitions, it's continuous. Like when I go back home, I'm snapping 100 balls a day just to feel it out, just to make sure I'm making the same release, having it roll off my fingers the same way. So it's just a lot of reps continuously going over and over so you can feel it. And once you get the feeling, you're like, okay, that's what you got to do. And then, like I told Tom, you should be able to get to a point where you're not thinking. I go out there, and it's going to sound bad, but I don't remember anything that happens on that field. I go out, I get the call, I grab the ball, I'm not thinking about anything, ball releases my hands, run downfield, run off the field. All right, then you just can't think. You almost just have to, like I said, trust your training, doing it over and over and over again. It's a long, long process, but once you get there, it's pretty cool.